Hey there, YouTube. Well, another busy weekend comes to a close. First long weekend of the summer, I suppose. Spent it downtown Toronto at the Superfan Comic Con, which was held at the Better Living Center down at Exhibition Place. Regrettably, this convention went pretty much exactly the way I expected to, exactly the way I feared it would go. So I'm going to get into that in a few moments. First, I'm going to just talk about the venue itself, where it was held, tell you a little bit about it. Then I'm going to go into both the positive and the negative aspects, the things that they did really well, and the things that they could probably improve on for next year. So like I said, this was held at the Better Living Center in Toronto, which is at Exhibition Place. Exhibition Place is a very large area in Toronto, set aside for special events that go on all year long in Toronto. They have the Toronto International Exhibition, which is kind of like an amusement park. It's got rides like roller coasters and Ferris wheels, plus games, and they have the band shell down there, the Molson Amphitheater, where they have a lot of live bands. They also have the soccer field where TFC, the Toronto Football Club, plays, the soccer team. And prior to the Skydome being built, the Blue Jays and the Toronto Argonauts also played their baseball games and football games down at Exhibition Place as well. So throughout the summer, it's a very busy place, but as you can tell by looking at some of the footage I shot this weekend, it's kind of like a ghost town right now, but it won't be for much longer. As the summer moves in, more and more events will be held down there, and you'll get more and more people walking around. So I have to say, it was a bit unusual to be down there this time of year. It's just the spring. The spring has just begun. We're on our way into summer. And to have an event down there is certainly different, that's for sure. Okay, now for some of the positive aspects, some of the things they did really well, or I thought they did well for this event. First of all, they billed it as a Comic-Con, but it wasn't really a Comic-Con. It was more of a pop culture event, like a mini fan expo. All kinds of interests and genres were represented. I mean, they had comics, they had some comic vendors, but not a lot. I think there was 3 or 4 vendors that specifically dealt with comics. Then you had a lot of different things. You had a lot of toys, new toy and vintage toys sellers down there. You had the artists. You had the anime aspect of the convention. There was like a psychic and a silver Elvis down there. The guy that dressed like Silver Elvis was actually kind of impressive. I've never seen him at a convention before, but he was actually kind of cool. And we had a wrestling aspect to the convention. It was called Smash Wrestling, which is a local wrestling outfit that was down there entertaining a lot of the younger kids, and they put on a really, really good show. They put on a couple shows each day, one on Saturday, two on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and I think 1 or 2 on Monday as well. And it was very entertaining and very realistic. These guys work really hard and they put on a great show. So that's something I haven't really seen at the Comic-Con before. And I think the Superfan Comic Con did do a lot to at least in that respect, add a couple different vendors there. They had a psychic there. I think they were trying to raise the ghost of Gene Roddenberry at his family dining room table or something. So some strange stuff I haven't seen before. But all in all, it made a very eclectic mix of vendors and people displaying things that you don't see, or I haven't seen it at the Fan Expo or any of the other Comic-Cons that are held this year. So in that respect, I think they did really well. Now, obviously, like I said, the weekend did go sort of like I expected. The turnout for this show was, I gotta be honest, minimal. There weren't a lot of people there, and it's a real shame. I think the organizers did try really hard to put on a good show. And, I think this show has potential to do really well in the future. I think what they probably should have done, like I said in my previous episode, is we weren't really notified. And a lot of the people I know didn't realize this was going on until it was actually happening, only a couple weeks before. So I think they need to advertise more. They need to advertise earlier, and they've got to advertise more, get the word out to all the different comic stores and toy stores in the area. They tried to advertise through some of the local newspapers, the Toronto Sun, the Toronto Star, also CP24, which is the local TV station, and they had some advertising on some of the radio stations like 1010 and 103.5, which helped, but I don't think they were quick enough getting the word out. They waited too late, and unfortunately they paid the price. It's very unlikely that the vendors would come even close to breaking even for this show. As you can see by some of the footage that I shot this weekend, they needed to bring in more people. Plus, I also think the fact that they used the Better Living Center. The Better Living Center is one of the many buildings they have down there that hold events. They also have the Queen Elizabeth building, the Direct Energy Center, they got the Horse Palace, a whole bunch of different buildings used for different events throughout the summer. I think the Wizard World Comic Con, before they pulled out a few years ago, was using the Direct Energy Center to hold their event. And the problem with the Better Living Center is it is a really, really huge venue. I think it'll hold up to 10, 12,000 people fully when the place is full, that is. So what happens is if you have an event in there and you don't advertise well enough, you end up having this massive place with just not enough people in there. So I think maybe it would have been a good idea for them to pick a smaller venue or cordon off a smaller area within the Better Living Center. That way it would look busier, even though there weren't that many people there, because you're using a smaller amount of space. It looks like there's more people there. And so that's one of the things they might want to do for next year. I think they planned it like a massive Comic-Con that had been well established, when really this is a new Comic-Con. Superfan Comic Con, this is the first year they put it on. So I think they tried to run before they could walk. I think maybe they should have picked a smaller venue and then gone from there. But that said, I think this is a good convention. I think over time it will work. They just need to, plan it a bit sooner, advertising it a bit sooner, and maybe pick a smaller venue, and also try and get a few more vendors. If you're going to bill it as a Comic-Con, there are certain vendors that really should be there. For example, Big B Comics and the Silver Snail. Those are two vendors I like to see whenever I'm at any convention. And Gotham City should have been there. It'd been nice to see Gotham City there. They weren't there either. So there's a couple there. Of course, Million. I think it was called Million Comics. They were there, and they're a really good comic. So I did buy some books off them, but overall, I would have liked to see a few more vendors in the comic aspect, because of course that's my thing. Another cool thing they had the Knight Rider there, the car kit from the Knight Rider series. They had one of the Batmobiles there, and of course, the reason I was there, I got my Green Arrow Longbow Hunter series comic signed. Mike Grell was there. He's an artist I was really looking forward to, so that did give me the opportunity to get those books signed. I've wanted to get that done for a long time. So it worked out really well for me. And I suppose one of the things that's nice about a con that's less busy is you're not fighting with crowds to get through the tables to see the different displays. So there's something to be said for a Comic-Con that's less busy, but at the same time, you don't want a Comic-Con that's empty, because it becomes, a little bit boring after a while. There's not enough people to look at. There's not enough people walking around in costumes, and the whole atmosphere that is derived from having a busy, vibrant show. So all in all, I consider this show a successful failure. I guess that's the best way to put it, a successful failure. They succeeded in putting on a show that was well done, but did they get the turnout that they wanted? Absolutely not even close. But I believe this show will work. The Superfan Comic Con will work. They just got to try a little bit harder, and they shouldn't give up. In fact, next week they should go back to the drawing board and start planning right away for what they're going to do next year.